Hi friends, I'm Chelsea and I am here with my fall TBR. I am so excited for fall. I feel like that's kind of everyone right now, or at least the majority of the population. Fall is by far my favorite season. My birthday is in October, and I just love the cozy, spooky vibes of the season, and I'm very excited for my fall reading. So if you've been around for a bit, you'll know that I don't do monthly TBRs anymore, but I've been doing seasonal TBRs. I found that that's really been working. I love the mood reading aspect of that, and even though I still haven't finished any of my seasonal TBRs, I feel like I have been a little more successful with reading from those books since I have kind of a larger time frame. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to use my TBR jar to pick what I'll read this fall. So September, October, November. And for me, what constitutes a fall read, I have several different genres. So think like dark academia, cozy fantasy, kind of just fantasy in general, and then mystery, thriller, horror, kind of spooky vibes, and then also like gothic type stories and any books that are set in fall. That's kind of what I'll be looking for as I pick my TBR. I have a couple books already on my radar, some new releases, some library books. I am also trying to read for my physical TBR, especially because I have not finished the majority of my 25 and 2025. So I gotta be thinking about that. I think I'm going to pick 10 prompts from my TBR jar. I also have my series jar, and I'm going to pick 2 from that. So 12 prompts overall. That should give me enough room to still mood read and pick random books throughout the fall that I'd like to read. So I think I'm going to do my series jar first and just pick 2 from that, and so this will tell me all the series that I'm in the middle of right now. It's a lot. I'll just pick 2 and see if I'm feeling like those will be good for this fall. So let's get started. Okay, so the first series we will be continuing is One of Us is Lying. I don't know if that's the name of the series, but that's the name of the first book. And so I think the second book is One of Us is Next. I'll probably listen to that as an audiobook. It was a very fun audiobook the first time around. These are kind of just like young adult mystery vibes. I didn't like super love the first book, but I liked it enough to continue, and I think a murder mystery is perfect for fall. So yeah, I will probably pick up One of Us is Next sometime this fall. And I don't really know how many books are in that series. I have no idea, but I know there's at least a second book. And the other series that I will potentially be continuing is, Heart and Mercy. So the first book is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. Very much like cozy fantasy with a good bit of romance. I really enjoyed it, but it's been several years since I read the first book, but I believe the second one is, like interconnected standalones. So the second one is not a continuous story. I honestly don't even remember what the second book is called. It's been that long, but I do want to read it. Let's find out what that is so I can tell you what it is. Okay, yeah, so the second book is The Undermining of Twyla and Frank. Yeah, this says a heartwarming fantasy with a best friends to lovers rom-com twist. When Harry met Sally, but with dragons. So that sounds pretty cool. It's set in the same world, I believe, but different characters. So yeah, I think I'll be able to jump in without really remembering much from the first book. And I liked the audiobook as well, so maybe I could pick up the audiobook for the second book. Looks like the audiobook is available on Libby. I could borrow it right now actually, which I won't because I'm reading other books. So yeah, I think that will be fun. I'm not gonna lie, those were not like top of my priority list of series to continue, but I do want to read more from those authors, so I'm not mad about it. And those are my series prompts. I will be continuing other series, like I'm planning to finish out Stormlight Archive by reading this big old book, Wind and Truth, the 5th book, and so I really need to read that before the end of the year. So I'll either read it in September or November, possibly. So that will finish a series, and there are probably other series that I should try to finish this year, but I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but this is definitely high priority. So that's it for the series. Let's jump into our TBR jar prompts, and like I said, I'll do 10 of these. So the first prompt, I just love doing this every time. Hopefully we get some good prompts today. Okay, starting off with a interactive one. This is Subscribers Choose Pull on Community tab. I guess that means I will maybe pick a couple books and see see what people choose, and I might just do that now so I can see if anyone chooses before the video's over. So first I need to pick out maybe like 3 books that I want to pick between. I guess do like a poll with a picture of the book. I'm just doing my thought process out loud here. External processor alert. So what books do I want to pick as my options? That is a good question. I'm looking at my TBR cart here. Sorry, you can't really see it. All right, so I picked the 3 books that I want my subscribers to choose between. These all have been on my list for a while and they all kind of give off fall vibes to me. So the first option is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This has definitely been on my list for a while and I've heard it said that it's very good for fall. All I know is that it's kind of dreamy, lushly written fantasy, whimsical, and it centers a night circus. I think there's some kind of competition between magicians or a duel of sorts. That's all I know, but yeah, I've heard it's great fall vibes. And then this one's on my 25 in 2025. That is Recursion by Blake Crouch. I think this is like a sci-fi thriller with time travel, something with an epidemic, and set in New York City. I don't know if it's the most fall vibes, but I think a thriller is always fun for the fall. So definitely interested in that. And then this one screams fall to me. That's The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. I think I talked about this in my last video, but this is basically like supernatural suspense, I think. And it's inspired by Rebecca, which I have not read and might read this fall as well. But yeah, so kind of horror, supernatural, gothic vibes. Another one I definitely want to read this fall. So I went ahead and did my post on my community tab so I can get that going and check by the end of the video. There may not be enough votes, so I may have to update y'all whenever I post the video what was chosen. I will keep you updated on that one. Okay, that was a lot for just the first prompt. We gotta speed this thing up here. So prompt number 2, we have a big thick one here. Oh, wonderful, seasonal read. So clearly that is fall. I feel like I have a lot of options for that. So let me get back to you in a second. All right, so I feel like I have so many books that could work for this prompt. I have 5 options. I know it's a lot, but I will kind of keep them close by in case I'm getting any more prompts that lead me to like fall type reads. So the first one I grabbed was also in my last video, and that is Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. And this is the dark sapphic romance that inspired Dracula. And I do plan on reading Dracula this fall, so I think I would like to read this before that. I don't think I have to explain why this feels like a perfect fall read. I also have The September House. Don't really need to explain that one either. This is a haunted house horror. I would definitely like to get into more of that, and so again, no need to explain why that feels like a good fall read. This one, the cover of this just screams fall to me, and that is The Ogress and the Orphans by Kelly Barnhill. I think this is middle grade. There is a dragon. Seems like potentially cozy vibes, but with some higher stakes as well. And yeah, these colors very much fall. This one is Graveyard Shift by ML Rio. Very short, so I can knock that out pretty quickly. Again, kind of a supernatural horror fantasy. I think it's set in October, so that could be good for fall. And then a classic, I think, or a modern classic that I have not read yet. I'm a little intimidated. Maybe you feel the same way if you haven't read this, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Classic dark academia, and I think it was written the year I was born, so 1992. I'm exposing myself there. So this is considered a modern classic, I believe, and kind of the hallmark of the dark academia genre, which feels perfect for fall for me. I do want to read this. It's been on my list for a while, so I don't know which one to pick. I want to read all of these. What would you pick? Let me know, because too many good options here. I think I will read this at some point, but I'm going to eliminate Graveyard Shift. Maybe this one, The Ogress and the Orphans. I don't know. I'm feeling drawn the most to Carmilla or The September House, and I don't know which one to pick, but I think I am going to pick Carmilla because, like I said, I want to read this before I read Dracula, and I'll probably read Dracula in October. Also, this one is basically 150 pages, so I love that. This says, predating Dracula by 26 years, Carmilla is the original vampire story steeped in sexual tension and gothic romance. In a lonely castle deep in the forest, Laura leads a solitary life with only her alien father for company, until one moonlit night, a carriage arrives bearing an unexpected guest, the beautiful Carmilla. That's all I will say, but a vampire novel will be great for the fall. All right, third prompt. Let's see what the jar gives us. We have, wow, fall vibes. You would think I had rigged the jar. I promise I have not. So this might feel a little repetitive. I might just pick one of these other books. So that works out pretty well if I do say so myself. And I think I'll go with the other one I was planning to pick, so The September House, because horror feels great for fall. And I want to see if I like the genre, like the book. And this says, a woman is determined to stay in her dream home even after it becomes a haunted nightmare in this compulsively readable, twisty, and layered debut novel. That is all I'm going to say. So that one's going on the TBR as well. Okay, if we get another one that's like fall reading, I will have to do some investigating here. Okay. Book my husband picked. Okay, so picked, I think I've gotten this one before. That implies that he either bought it for me, or that's probably mostly what that would mean. Maybe a book that he has said in the past that he wants me to read. Let me think about that. Looking at my books here again. Okay, I'm having a bit of a hard time with this one. I don't see a ton of options, and so I might kind of stretch it a bit and make it one that we're both interested in reading. And he's actually read a little bit of this already, and he got me into the series. So I'm just going to pick Wind and Truth because I do need to read this fall. He wants to read this. He picked it. I bought it, but you know, it's a book that's on his list for him to read and for me to read. So I think that's close enough. When I think of him, I think of Brandon Sanderson as far as like reading goes. So yes, I would love to finish this series out this year. I'm scared to read this book, intimidated for obvious reasons, but I can't wait to get back to this world. So this one is officially going on the fall TBR. Okay, we are on the 5th prompt here, and I should mention I also have my digital and library TBR. So I have a couple books out from the library that I definitely want to read, and I have some audiobooks and new releases and stuff like that. So I need to be thinking about those to add to my TBR potentially. And wonderful, we got over 500 pages. So of course, Wind and Truth could count for that, but we've already picked that one. Well, let me do a little looking around here. Like I said, I do have some library books. I have The Night and the Moth, which I can't wait to read, but I feel like it's going to be just under 500 pages. Oh man, it's not even 400 pages. For some reason that looked kind of chunky to me. It's definitely not over 500. I also have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but this is barely over 300, so that will not count. I do think I have a hold available for The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodges or something. I can't remember her last name. I think I'm going to pick that up this week, and I know that one is definitely over 500 pages, so I could pick that. I also still haven't started The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, and that's on my list for the year. That one is definitely over 500 pages, so I could just roll that one over, put it on the fall TBR. But I think I'm going to do The Raven Scholar because I've been hearing really good things about it. I know it's fantasy with some mystery elements, maybe a hint of romance. I've been hearing great reviews, and so I do plan to read that once I get my library book. And yeah, I'm going to put that on the fall TBR. All right, so we're halfway through. Now we are picking the 6th prompt, and we have nonfiction / memoir. Okay, not quite what I was thinking about for my fall TBR, but that's okay. So I know I have a couple nonfictions on my shelf. I have Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, Educated by Tara Westover, The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. What else do we have? Okay, I don't have a ton of nonfiction on my physical or digital TBR, but I think I will pick this one. And so this is The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. I mentioned this in my book haul as well, so I don't want to get too repetitive here, but I really loved his writing in Between the World and Me. And this one says, the author journeys to 3 resonant sites of conflict to explore how the stories we tell and the ones we don't shape our realities. I guess he travels. He goes to Africa, then he also goes to Columbia, South Carolina, and then he goes to Palestine. And this came out last year, I believe, so it seems like it will be quite relevant to what's going on in our world today, and I'm very curious about it. I hope I can get the audiobook because I really like listening to his voice, and this is just over 200 pages, so I love to add a short book to the TBR, especially with Wind and Truth being on here. So that is our nonfiction pick for the fall. Okay, number 7. We have Highly Anticipated. All right, so that could be a new release, one of my library books, because those are kind of new releases as well, or any book that I've been wanting to read from my TBR. So, like I said, we have these two from the library, The Night and the Moth and Atmosphere. love both of these authors, so those are highly anticipated. We also have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I did have the library book. I had to return it, but I might get it again, and so that could go on this list. And we also have a couple new releases. So Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, who wrote Divine Rivals and A River Enchanted, and also Uncharmed by Lucy Jane Wood. She wrote Rewitched. And then Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I haven't read a ton of her books, but I am very curious about her new release, so any of those I think could count. I think I will go with a new release here just because it's fun to have one of those on the list. This book feels very fall-esque to me, so I'm going to add this to the TBR, and that is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. If you haven't read her Shepherd King duology, it's very gothic, very atmospheric fantasy, and it seems like this one will also be gothic. This says, a gothic miscloaked tale of a young prophetess who is forced on an impossible quest with the one knight whose future she cannot see. I know there's a gargoyle in this who's apparently very funny. It seems like good fall vibes, and it's actually not as long as I thought. It's under 400 pages, and that sounds great. So yeah, this will go on my TBR as well. All right, number 8. We have Excited to Read. That's pretty much highly anticipated. I might put that back just because that feels very repetitive, and I want some different prompts here. So we're going to do that one again. Number 8. One more time. TV/movie adaptation. Okay. That's going to take some brainstorming as well. Let me get back to you. I don't want to spend a ton of time trying to pick this, and I do have a book that I've been wanting to read this year. I think it's on my 25 and 2025, and there's a TV show adaptation for this book. So I'm going to pick Long Bright River by Liz Moore. I loved The God of the Woods by her, and so she writes kind of literary slow burn mysteries with some family themes, lots of different timelines. This says 2 sisters travel the same streets, though their lives couldn't be more different than one of them goes missing. Set in Philadelphia. We have a present day mystery with the story of the sisters' childhood. So like kind of crime fiction with more of a literary character focus. I would love to read this and then watch the show and see what I think. Okay, we have 2 more prompts here, and I always get sad when we get to the end because I could just keep going forever, but I do need to leave myself some room for mood reading. And so we have a genre out of my comfort zone. Wonderful. Love that for cozy fall vibes. So what's out of my comfort zone? I think nonfiction, but I'm not going to pick another one of those. Sci-fi. I don't really have a ton of options for that. What else is out of my comfort zone? I don't know. I feel like I read a lot of different genres. There's not a ton that I feel intimidated by, so I need to think about that. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to pick. This is a book that I have on my Libby audiobook holds. I think I will have access to it sometime over the fall. This one is called Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker. I think it came out this year or maybe last year, but I have been hearing some good reviews of it. It says, in this explosive horror novel, a woman is haunted by inner trauma, hungry ghosts, and a serial killer as she confronts the brutal violence experienced by East Asians during the pandemic. Lots of mentions of the pandemic that I'm sure we all are aware of. And yeah, I believe the horror elements are in 2 parts, potentially some actual like creatures or something, but also just realistic like racist horror. It says it's a wildly original, darkly humorous, and subversive contemporary novel from a striking new voice in horror. So I mentioned I don't read a lot of horror, but I want to get into it more. And so I think this will be a good pick for fall and for something that is a little bit out of my comfort zone. All right, and we are on the last prompt for my fall TBR. Let's hope it's a good one. Let's see what we get. We have backlist. That's it. That's all it says. So lots of options there. I do love a new release, but I also have a lot to catch up on because I only started reading again in like 2022 or 21 or something. So lots of backlist choices. I think I could pick, actually, I don't think this is backlist. I don't know if Donna Tartt has come out with anything since The Secret History. I could be wrong on that. I believe The Ogres and the Orphans is backlist. This is 2022. I think she has some newer books, so that's potential. Okay, so I'm looking for more cozy vibes with this backlist prompt, and I need to check to make sure. I know for sure that this one, Small Favors by Erin A. Craig, is a backlist item. She has a new release last year, I think. Yeah, I think this is just kind of small town cozy fantasy. We also have The Crescent Moon Tea Room, but this may not be backlist. I'm gonna have to check that real quick. Okay, I don't think this is backlist, so I'm gonna have to put that back. I also am looking at You Again, but also don't know if that's a backlist item, so let's see. But isn't this just the most fall cover you've ever seen? So I feel like I need to read that. I think this is her newest release as well, unfortunately. Not doing a great job with picking books for this prompt. I also have Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I have been told that this is definitely a good fall read, kind of gothic, suspenseful, or more mysterious maybe. And I think she's come out with books since then, but I could be wrong. I don't even know what year this came out. Let's check that. This came out in 2023, so somewhat recent, but I think she actually just came out with a new book. Okay, so she does have a new book coming out in October, but it's not out yet. So this might be her most recent release. So that's kind of a fail all the way around. But that means we still have an option here. I want to look at one more and then I will finally decide on this. Okay, I think I'm going to actually change it up here and go with The Ogress and the Orphans. Like I mentioned before, she has at least another book out since this one, so this does count. I feel like just a cozy middle grade with dragons feels perfect for fall. And so yeah, I'm going to put this as my backlist prompt. That means we have chosen all the books for my fall TBR. And of course, like I said, I will be reading other books for sure. I'm going to be reading Demon Copperhead next month, finally. Luckily, my book club picked it. Otherwise, I may never have picked it up. So this is up next in September. And then I probably will be reading this one in September as well, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I think I'll be buddy reading this with Kat from Curious Cat. Very happy to finally read this one as well. Like I said, I will be reading Dracula in October, potentially a buddy read with Amber from Amber's Bars and Books, I think is her new channel name. So yeah, a couple different ones, some more library books. I'm probably going to start this next, along with Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and many other books throughout the fall. But I have my official fall TBR. So let's go through those one more time, and that will be it. So for my series continuation, I have One of Us Is Next by Karen M. McManus, and then The Undermining of Twyla and Frank by Megan Bannon. And then for my, I think this was highly anticipated, we have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. For a backlist book, we have The Ogress and the Orphans by Kelly Barnhill. For a TV movie adaptation, we have Long Bright River by Liz Moore. For a nonfiction, we have The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. For, I think this was a fall read or something like that, we have The September House by Carissa Orlando. For a seasonal read, very similar prompt, we have Carmilla by this person who I butcher every time. For a book my husband picked, however you want to interpret that prompt, we have Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. For a book over 500 pages, we have The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson, I think is her last name. For a book or genre outside of my comfort zone, we have Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang by Kylie Lee Baker. And we're missing one here. Right, Subscribers Choose. I need to check on that, but I highly doubt we have enough to pick a book from that. So what I'll do is I'll just let the poll be up for a little bit, and then this video will probably go up tomorrow. I guess I will just put like a pinned comment in the comments and I'll let you know what book was chosen, or I'll post about it on my community tab. Either way, the three books that are the options here were The Hacienda, The Night Circus, and Recursion. So I will be reading one of those as well. That is it for my fall TBR. I definitely can't wait for the season of reading, and I think there's a lot of good picks here, a lot from my physical TBR, which is getting pretty crazy at this point, and some good audiobooks, I hope, and books from the library. So I think it's a good range of books. Let me know what's on your fall TBR, or if you have read any of these books, what your thoughts were. Otherwise, I think that is it for now. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!